What is good, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the series where I'm trying to create an AI business from scratch as a software developer and sharing my entire journey. In the previous episode, we created a pretty successful email or chat agent that basically can be trained on a data set from a certain company. So, to give you the example here again, we created a planned business. It's a fictional business that AI basically made up, and we trained it to be able to respond to certain emails that we know happen quite often. That actually worked perfectly. So, the first two questions here were actually questions that it could answer on based on the information that the dataset and training dataset. Now, the third one right here, which is do you sell plants that can sing magical lullabies? That one was escalated to a support rep. And now what I actually want to do is go one step further. The idea that I had here was, what if we pass it to a support rep because we do not know what to answer? Then the support rep basically answers and the AI learns from this response, meaning that it will only ask relevant information about a single topic once, train itself, and then be able to continue to respond. I think that is something very, very powerful and something that I do see a lot of chatbots in the current industry missing, the ability to self-train themselves. And I think that also has to do with the fact that these support reps don't always have 100% accurate info, and if you start training with garbage, at that point you're polluting the system. But the idea is simple. For this video, I want to be able to let the AI agent train itself to be able to respond to everything, basically. So let's get started with that. What I did is I kind of explained to ChatGPT what I wanted to do, was brainstorming a little on how I could approach it this specific episode here, and it came up with a prompt. So what I just explained, and let me quickly summarize. I want, when a message gets asked to a support rep, I want the AI to present it to a support rep. I want the support rep to be able to respond to the AI with a simple answer, not an email. With that answer, the AI agent is then going to formulate a response to the customer, but also train its own data set. So those are the 4 points that I'm going to be focusing on in this specific episode, and I hope to be able to finalize this. And this is basically the prompt that ChatGPT generated, and yeah, we're just gonna paste this and then see which steps Cursor takes us through. So this is pretty cool. No need for me to instantly jump into the code. I'm just gonna give Cursor the context to be able to help us with asking. All right, so a response was generated here, and it says, let's enhance this email response system to better handle context gaps and confidence scoring. Here is how we can modify the code. And the thing that I immediately notice is that we have this whole new bit of prompt. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply that, and I'm gonna blatantly just accept everything in this conversation here. And then let's actually start looking at what exactly happened. So we still have the training context here on top, nothing of that changed. But here we can see that we basically added an additional bit of prompt towards ChatGPT. Now it's saying, analyze this email and provide a JSON response in the following format. Can answer is a Boolean, true if you can fully answer with the given context. The confidence level, which is going to be a floating value between 0 and 1. And I suppose that if it's 1, it's very sure that it can actually answer with full confidence. The missing info is going to be a list of missing information pieces that are still needed to possibly answer the response or escalate passing to support rep. And then what we can also see is that the category is going to be the category of the question, so that it can probably store it in the relevant training data set. And here it gave an extra pointer. Remember, only return true for can answer if all needed information is in the context. So it's stressing that, meaning that that's probably something where it could fail on. So we need to do some thorough testing with the responses that we get. Actually, this brings me to an idea. Like, I never really thought of the fact of asking ChatGPT to simply push out JSON, because at this point it can actually start to function as a proper API response. So this is pretty cool and opens a lot of ideas for me, basically. So let's continue going through the code here. So here we have the method that is going to be responsible for processing the email. We're going to have a try catch system here. So either we execute the code successfully, and if not, we try to catch the exception and then print what the exception is. On line 35 right here, and let me actually zoom in for you guys. There we go. I made it all a little bit bigger, so it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to read. So first off, we have a wait or a rate limit, and that's a very good one. That's one we implemented in the last video as well, because we don't want to spam ChatGPT or OpenAI and then get a ban because we are spamming it, right? Or a timeout. This is where we basically construct a prompt. We're going to assign a max of 500 tokens to it. The temperature, I still have no clue what this is. Let's actually ask it, right? So I'm just going to copy and say explain the temp. We're going to parse the JSON. We're going to log the analysis, and let's actually see what that does right here. Implement logging for training data collection. So that's still a to do right now. We don't really have code for that yet. And then now, as you can see, we have a much better system of actually establishing whether we can answer or not. So right now we are basically saying if the system is below 80% confident, then we are gonna respond automatically with passing to support. So that's very good. Again, that is basically going to be it. So here we still have those same test mails. And now what I can see is that we do have different emails here. So planned order, my monster is yellow leaves, and then do you ship to international locations? And if so, what are the delivery times? And this should be escalated in this specific example. And instead of responses, we are seemingly now receiving analysis. So let's actually try and run this and see what we get from this first step that we basically asked Cursor to implement. And while I'm getting this running here, we got a beautiful response on the temperature part of the code. So the temperature basically means if temperature is 0, it's going to be the most deterministic and focused response. So it's going to do a lot less of hallucinating. It's going to really try and give factual responses. 1 is going to be the most random and creative, and is going to be more willing to take risks in word choices and whatnot. 0.7 is good. For a customer AI service, I'd actually recommend lowering the temperature to 0.3 or 0.4 to ensure more consistent, predictable response. This would help maintain reliability in customer communication. So let's actually go ahead and do that. I was thinking if it's going to have to construct emails, I would like it to use creative wording. But let's see. Let's try and lower it to 0.4. I thought last time it worked pretty well, but let's go for 0.4 and see what the responses are going to look like. So let's run it. All right. So here we can see what's going on. So in the first question, where we basically ask for tracking information related to an order, which is actually present in the data set, as you can see. So it automatically says the category here is order status, and what you can see is that it formulated response, however, does not look like an email anymore. So that is something we definitely gonna want to work on. So perhaps instead of response, we are gonna add something else, email response, and then the email response should basically use that response to actually construct an email body. Now we could use a new AI agent for that, an AI agent that's specialized in getting as input a very, very concise and good, well-worded response, and then constructing that into an email. That's something we could be doing, but for now we're going to do all of that in one simple AI agent. So the next one, again, can answer was true, a confidence level of 1, yellow leaves, blah blah blah. So that's basically everything that is once again in the training context here again. And then do you ship to international locations, and if so, what are the delivery times? And then the response is passing to support rep, missing information is international shipping policy, and then the confidence is 0.0, and the category would be categorized an order status, and that seems to make sense to me. So this to me all makes sense. Now this was the first step because we asked it to actually keep on going into steps, and we're gonna just ask let's proceed to the next step. All right, so in this step you can see is that it created a support interface to handle escalated emails. Here's how we can modify the code, but I can see that it's all trying to push this right into the main.py, which of course is not going to be that clean of code. Let's get to creating all of these files. So the first one I created here was the support ticket. Now we have the support queue, and the support queue is going to contain an add ticket, a get pending tickets, a resolve ticket, and all of those are based on the support ticket model here. It's going to have an ID, it's going to have an email connected with a timestamp, missing information, category, confidence status, and support response. It's also created a nice services folder and then an open API service, which is gonna have the rate limiting and the completion. So it's basically going to generate, also going to have the email responder clause right here, which is going to take care of actually creating the prompt, also processing emails, and then basically call the open API service right here that we created to then create the chat completion. So basically create a prompt, and then it's going to retrieve the answers from it and start our analysis, where we will basically be returning the responses that we can see right. So these are the analysis ones. Now we have the support interface, and let's see what that looks like. We're going to have two methods on this. The first one being process emails, and the second one is going to be to handle pending tickets. And what this will basically do, it will retrieve all the tickets where a response is necessary for, so responses that the AI could not present, and it's gonna basically go over them, loop over them, give context, and basically tell the operator this is going to be missing information. Then we are going to be able to respond to that specific missing information with a response, and if we don't have a response, we just enter and skip it, and then a next person can get back to that. So this way, all of the questions will basically be collected in a log, which automatically converts to frequently asked questions, and these should never be asked again. And the AI should of course be returning pretty decent emails. emails. Now, all that needs to be done is to clean up the main.py file so that we have the core structure in here, and that's basically it. So here we are basically initializing all of the components that we're going to be using. We have the test emails here, and then we are going to be doing the processing first and then the pending tickets. So we're going to first do the processing of the emails, and then here we will see the emails that we do not have information for. We can then start handling those. So let's actually try and run this again and see what the results are. All right, so as you can see, we had 3 emails, and right here it says, do you ship to Canada and what's the shipping cost for that? It doesn't have information for it, so it's going to say passing to support rep. It's going to then create a ticket. As you can see, missing information would be shipping locations and shipping costs. It has 0 confidence to answer that, and it placed it in the category shipping. Couldn't respond to that, so it's going to pass that, and it's going to remember that, of course. And then can I grow plants outdoors in the winter? It's going to say response passing to support rep, and it's going to say information about outdoor winter care plants is not provided. 0 confidence, plant care. So, and then this one, my order GT12345 hasn't been received yet. It's been 2 weeks, and it is able to respond that, and it's going to send a response to actually check out if they have shipping information available, and if they're still having issues, they could then respond, and based on that response, we could probably take a different approach. So the main story here is that we have 2 pending support tickets and we need to answer them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy this and I'm going to say create a fictive but realistic response for the green thumb business. All right, so it created a response for us. Let's copy that, paste that right here. Whoops, we need to make it a one-liner, of course. Make it a one-liner. Let's copy that. Let's paste it in here and let's hit enter. And now, as you can see, it registered that information. It says ticket 173634107 has been resolved. Now I'm very curious to see, did it actually change anything here? It doesn't seem to have changed anything. Nope. So I'm curious to see how it's going to be doing that. And then for this one, I'm going to just go ahead and skip that. So the system does look pretty good to me, but right now, of course, it's pretty useless. It doesn't really do anything. So I'm just going to ask the chat here to continue to the next step. So now it seems it's actually going to implement the stuff we need for the learning service. And the learning service from a first glance is going to work on that training context JSON file. Going to load the context, save the context, learn from tickets. And then, yeah, let's quickly take a look here how that would work. So the opening and the saving is very easy. So it's just going to load the file and then it's going to save to the file. Now the learn from ticket, I'm quite interested to see what this does. We are actually gonna create an extraction problem here, see where that leads us. So it's gonna ask, this is the original customer question, which is gonna be the email connected to the ticket. We're gonna then paste the response that we type here. So that would be the one-liner that we pasted about the Canada shipping. It's gonna pass all of that into a prompt. And then we're gonna ask ChatGPT, extract structured knowledge from this interaction in JSON format. Gonna pass the category. It's gonna say key information. And then here it's gonna say extract the key value pairs and then the confidence. Based on that response, we are going to then update the context here, as we can see, and we do want the confidence of the response that ChatGPT has then given. We do want that to be above 0.8% in order to probably maintain really good quality here. Here we're going to say if the category exists, we are going to update it instead of creating a new one. But if it doesn't exist, we will create the category and then populate the key information there. And that doesn't exactly look right to me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste this file. Make sure the learning service works with my existing format of training context. And I'm going to paste that. So that is why it's always very important to take it with a grain of salt. The stuff that it presents, the Claude Sonnet, is usually pretty accurate, but overall you definitely want to check if it has all the right context in mind, even with while using Cursor, the IDE, which basically knows what you're coding. Sometimes it can really lose track of the context. So here it was basically going to destroy my current training context, because instead of all of these nice subcategories and stuff, it wasn't going to create those. It was going to say key information, and that's it. And that's how we're going to train it. We don't want that. We want a more structured approach because we know that that's going to be working. So we now have category and subcategory. Let's see. Let's already paste this in the learning service and see what that does. Now it seems like it only wants to work with the existing categories, and it's not really keen on creating a new category, which I do not really like. Please said before I implement your changes, I want to make sure that we can also also create new categories if needed. I just want to maintain the format of the training file. All right, let us implement the changes that it created now, and let's see if that makes more sense to us. Those. Okay, so now it indeed works with categories or specific subcategories. It didn't exactly do what I asked. So what I'm going to do in this prompt is basically expand it myself. So extract information that fits into one of these categories or create a new one. So that's all I did. I basically expanded the first prompt here to be look if it fits into one of the following categories. If it doesn't, create a new one. And for the extraction, I was saying use one of the existing categories or the category you named, right? So that's going to be the response. But now I'm thinking of it, this is not really future proof, is it? Because let's say we basically implement, let's say 4 new categories. We're only going to be mentioning these, and then it's going to assume that it needs to create a new one, even if those might already exist. So I'm going to express my concern here and then see what the IDE responds to me. I expressed my concerns, and these are the changes that were suggested. Let's apply them and see what the AI did for us. So we already had the load context method, but now we should be using the load context method in actually learning, right? So let's see. Analyze the structure of the context to understand the categories and their formats is the first prompt that we're going to be giving. And let's actually see the full learn from ticket method right here. So the first prompt would be to create the extraction prompt. All right, I see. It took me some time to interpret this, mainly given the naming that I'm not fully agreeing with, but that doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do here, we're going to analyze in a first prompt right here, which is the analyze structure. We're going to have analyzed the structure of the complete file of the training context that we have, and we're going to pass that to ChatGPT. Then we're going to say, this is the full training file. This is an example of it. This is all of the current contents. And then we're going to pass the original customer email. We're also going to pass the representative's response, and we're going to ask it to extract knowledge that either fits into the existing categories or subcategories or create new ones. Format your response as, and that's then going to be the JSON. And that's where we are going to have our new information. And that is what we will pass to the update context, I presume. So let's see where we call this again. Yes, so that entire prompt will be passed to this right here. And it's going to say your knowledge is extracting system, extract information that fits into one of the following categories or create a new one. And that I would like to actually change, because that's basically going to do the same thing here, right? So we can actually remove that, because in that prompt, there is going to be the correct categories into one of the categories. And then I'm going to say format the response to match the existing structure in the context. And that should work. Let me quickly see how would that be done again. Yes, that looks perfect. All right. This to me does make sense here. Now let's see, because we did ask quite a bit of questions. It was doing all kinds of other things here. So now we can get back to expanding the support queue, which is going to be resolving tickets, get pending tickets or add tickets. And now instead of just saying the ticket is resolved, we are going to do ticket is resolved and knowledge base has been updated. Accept that as well. And now let's actually try running this again and see what it does. All right. So the first one is going to be the Canada question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply pick up, and it's going to fill in what I previously typed. And unfortunately, it seems like we actually got a error response right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to add this conversation to the chat here. I'm also going to add the learning service here. I'm going to do with add learning service.py, and I'm going to pass that. And where exactly was the error message again? Let's just try it like this. Fix my issue, please. All right, so it seems to have created a nice little fix right here. You must only output valid JSON in the extract format specified. And here we're gonna add a try catch, try accept. Oh, and let's run that again. All right, so we're here again. Let us paste that prompt one more time. And now, as you can see, it said the ticket has been resolved and the knowledge base has been updated. So there were no issues right here. Can I go grow your plants outdoor in the winter? Create a victive. Once again, generating a response to the missing information here. So it's gonna say most of our indoor plants aren't frost hardy and should be kept indoors during winter, as temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius can damage or kill them. There we go. This ticket has now also been resolved and updated. So let's see if the training context file is actually updated. So what we can instantly see is that the temperature requirements here has actually been updated. But what I'm currently not seeing is the Canada stuff right here. Here we go. So it has order status, and we expanded that with shipping time and shipping time to Canada and whatnot. So now now, in essence, if we rerun all of those prompts, we should then be able to respond to all of these emails now. And there we go. As you can see, we have responses to every single email now. We actually created a ticketing system. We can respond to the tickets. The responses will be used to train the data set of the AI here. And now, as you can see, the AI is basically capable of responding to each and every question. So in the future, if questions like these arise, it will be able to answer. So everything it doesn't know, it will only ask once. It will train the data set and it will continue to do so. And then in the end, an agent should, in essence, never really get back to replying anymore. Now, I do see some major red flags in that, because if we take a closer look, let me see if I can find the original file here again. Let me do a quick copy paste of this, and we're going to use the copy to paste the original file in. So that's going to be all of this. And as you can see, it was originally only 28 lines. Now, if we compare that to the new one we have, let's see what it did. What we can instantly see here is that some of the original data actually got purged. So for example, the shipping time, I cannot see that in the normal file anymore. So it is mentioning standard shipping to Canada, express shipping to Canada, and free shipping threshold Canada, but it no longer mentions the standard traditional shipping time that it has. So that basically got removed. The delivery time is still looking pretty valid, and other than that, everything in the order status is still looking good. Land care is looking the same. Common issues are also looking to be the same. Returns did not change either, and we only really expanded the temperature requirements. So overall, the manipulation of the file is still quite acceptable, but the last thing we want is for this to run out of hand. Let's say we have hundreds of questions asked, and in this case, all about order statuses, but to different countries who have different shipping policies. At that point, it could very well be that the entirety of the file is going to be manipulated. So something that I'm probably going to want to do is have a base training context file. So that's going to be generated once, where we have our base, which will always be the main guideline. And then we're going to have the training files, and the training files are going to be separate. We're going to first see, do we have it in the default context that we train with? If we do, we're going to reply from there. And if we don't, we're going to then check the specific train context file. So we're not really going to rely solely on this one, because for now, if someone requested the shipping time, it was gonna respond with something that probably wasn't valid. Let's actually run a little test here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask them, what's the general shipping time? And now we actually only in our context have the standard shipping time, right? So if we run this, I'm hoping that we will be prompted as a support rep to answer that. And if we don't, then we can be pretty sure that we will get a response from Canada. Here we go. So now it is mentioning Canada specifically, which is not good. And that is why I'm thinking we should have a general baseline and then have those detailed responses where we specifically narrow down on Canada, for example. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this shipping time and I'm going to paste that in here. I'm going to say general underscore shipping and make that 2 to 3 business days. And now if I ask the question again, we can see that the response is simply the general shipping time for our orders is 2 to 3 business days, which looks a lot better. And as you can see, it really narrows down to that general shipping time. And if it has location specific requests, can then ask the support reps to give proper answers like the one we have right here. All right, so according to Cursor, we are now done with the requests that we basically made, and it's suggesting that we do email integration, we created dashboard, we do analytics and monitoring, and we do testing and validation. And after those steps, it's basically thinking and saying like, yeah, you have a valid AI agent set up. And I would agree, especially if you have the dashboard and stuff, but I do not completely agree with the responses right now, because it basically forgot what the core concept was. We do not want to send these type of responses. No, we want to actually formulate emails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the responses don't really look like emails at this point. Can we ensure we also have responses that are properly formatted emails? And I'm going to give it some freedom in the way that it actually tackles that right now. What I am going to do is I'm going to add the email responder here, which is what we're currently working in. I'm going to add that to the chat, and then I'm going to see what it does with that. I'm also going to ask it later on if we need to modify some other files. Let us apply these changes, because now we do have the email response here, as you can see. And then again, we have the format email response. And now I'm going to ask, are there any other files to adjust to make sure everything works? And as we can see, it seems like it remembered our clauses. Now, if these changes basically cover everything, that's not something we can be sure of. But let's see. Let us simply do 2 questions here to save on the costs of OpenAI. All right, so let us take a look here. What can we see? We have an incoming email related to the order status tracking information. And they're going to say, hello, thank you for reaching out. I understand you're waiting, blah, blah, blah. We appreciate appreciate your patience. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to let us know. So the emails do look pretty nice and pretty consistent in the way their output looks. That is very good. And now we have one email that, of course, it could not answer to. Do you ship to Antarctica? And what's the shipping cost? Let's actually say yes, we ship to Antarctica, and it costs $999. It will take around 7 years to arrive. Let's see. Now, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna run that again with only that question and see if it actually still updates correctly, so that we can then verify that we implemented the new logic, or basically pushing emails with a correct subject, body, and everything, but still managed to resolve it. And as you can see, hello, thank you for your inquiry. Yes, we do offer shipping to Antarctica. Please note that the standard shipping cost to Antarctica is $999 and the estimated shipping is 7 years. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. So that's pretty nice. I'm honestly pretty impressed again by the work that we managed to accomplish. Let's see how long this took right here. We're busy for about an hour and 1 minute. So I think it's a perfect moment to take a break here and just admire at the work we accomplished again. And in the next steps, I will actually follow what Cursor suggested to me here, which would be to take a quick look to integrate simple emails so we can actually connect it to email services like Gmail, Outlook, etc. We are going to create a dashboard for the support reps. I suppose that both of those will be one single video. We're going to have analytics and monitoring, and also testing and validation. And I think all of those will be separate videos. So these are going to be the next 4 episodes, and we're going to really build on top of this application. Now, of course, I'm going to base all of that on your responses in the comments, whether you like the video, and if I see the subscribers and stuff increasing. If you guys are not really interested in this specific type of application anymore and would like me to explore something else, which I'm very open to, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you did like this video, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like, maybe a subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. And if you want to network with me, make sure to just leave a comment. Let me know what you've been doing in the AI space. I'm super interested, and I will get back to every single one of you, and I will get back to you for sure. Cool, then all that's left for me to do is to thank you for watching and wish you a wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning. It doesn't matter where you are. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next episode. Take care.